Hello, can you hear
Yeah,
me? Okay. Yeah.
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, all right, good. Thank you for joining the
You're
live.
not that big. No?
Thank you, thank you for joining the live event. And uh, a lot of people are already listening to us via the different streams. I'm talking about Facebook, uh, LinkedIn, and YouTube, right? And they've been having this sort of high expectation to hear what you have to say regarding this pertinent issue, right? So, just going to give a brief of introduction about you to the audience, right? So they are aware the personality that is here, right? So you just give me like 2 minutes. Let me quickly read the profile to, help the audience keep abreast, right? So basically, it's what I've shared before, but I'll still be reading it. And I feel that is a very brilliant personality that I've been, following up for some time now, and I admire the sort of work that she does. Being creative and very innovative, right? So she's a first-class agronomy graduate with interest in agriculture and food tech, health, circular economy, and waste upcycling spaces. These are some of the themes that we'll be discussing today. And if you don't have to worry about that, just keep it in mind. And she has experience that cuts across diverse technological, you know, area. Talking about Internet of Things, artificial intelligence of things. We are talking about 3D printing technology, data analytics, and digital entrepreneurship. It's one of the reasons why I even like what she does. She does come up with an idea and she's able to print it out, you know, using the 3D printing technology and also materializing local resources, right? So this is basically it. Uh, she has trained, she educates, empower a lot of youth and women that are well established today, and they are able to, produce foods for themselves, make meaningful income as well, right? So this is all I'll be saying for now. So I'll just give Kafila just a space of a minute to quickly say one or two things before I go ahead with the questions I have for her today. Thank you, Kafila.
Thank you for having me here today, Tahib. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share with the audience. Um, I'm Kafila Sadedeji and basically the founder of UFAMI Eco EduTech Solution Limited. The second time founder actually. It started with Prudent Associates Agro Industry and now we transition into a limited liability company, UFAMI Eco EduTech Solutions Limited, where we help health conscious urban dwellers to eat healthy and live healthy by helping them, providing systems, sustainable systems that help them to grow their own food on their limited urban space so they can earn decently from being primary producers of food in any African city. So basically, that is what we do in summary. But beyond that, we develop innovation technologies that can help to grow high density food in the urban space so that people get to live sustainably, growing their own food on their limited space, and even start a business, a profitable business out of it, right from the comfort of their home, even from that small space that you think cannot be profitable, so to say. So we grow vertically rather than grow horizontally. So for us, it's not about the acreage or hectare of land. It's about the space you have and how high you can grow, basically. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. First of all, I'm really happy that this success story of your company, when you describe that, it's not really like a small thing, it's a company that's incorporated. So it shows scalability. And these are some of the things I'll be getting to touch on today, right? And I also like the fact that you mentioned that you grow vertically, not necessarily horizontally. In today's world, we don't have to take huge expanse of land to grow. We can maximize the little area that we have from the comfort of our homes and grow food, upcycle waste, right? So I'll just go into the first question, Kafila. You know, what you do is very interesting, I must say, and I get amazed by it. You invent things, you think of it and just create it. Talking about novel hydroponic setup, researching and adapting materials. Like you don't develop new materials, right? And you also establish creative and working system for food production. Name it. So many do not tread this path. So my question is, I'd like to ask you that what inspired you to, take this kind of daunting step? You know, it's not a common thing that people do, right? People would readily uh, do what is being done. They won't want to. They they will do a lot of things different, right? I want to understand what inspired you. What is this spark?
I think it all stem boil down from my personality. I think I would describe myself as being naturally innovative, like I'm solution oriented. In even my normal everyday activities, I don't take problem as a challenge. So, like, I don't take problem as an opportunity for me to be like depressed and say I'm not going to do this again because I faced a problem. I see problems as challenges that will make me to be able to develop some solution. So I see problems as opportunity. That's my personality. Like, this is just being personal now. Now this is what now actually stem into what I am doing. So when I started my business, it was just as a result of the fact that I was trying to solve a problem for myself. Like, we were promised a lot of things when we were in school. Try to graduate with a first class. If you graduate with a first class, you get a job, a decent academic job, you become a lecturer. That was the motivation, right from 200 level till our 500 level years, and to get a first class, right? And unfortunately, or maybe I'll say fortunately, like, we got that first class. And it's amazing that for my own particular set, I did not even get more than a handshake by the VC, which I would not even accept because I'm a Muslim. Do you understand? So that's the highest that was given to us, to be in a first class. All the You become a lecturer, you get a decent work, it becomes like story for another day. You understand? So we I did like 2 years as extra, did a lot of volunteering work, went ahead to go and learn a lot of artisan skills, all the in our time, all these skills that fit female: tailoring, knitting, bead work, wire work. I learned a lot of skills, all because I said, okay, if the school job is not going to pay me off, I'm going to go for all these skills. And after 5 years of first class, you understand. Now I was lucky enough to, okay, being posted during my NYC to an agricultural institute. So even my internship, I wasn't posted to a school. My IT was also in an agricultural firm, an irrigation based in federal government, and even my NYC. So I had that vast experience of agriculture. Now, the first job I now later got 6 months after my NYC, searching for a job, thinking I'll be able to work in an academic environment, research, and I didn't get those ones. So I later got a job with a private farm. Now, this is an integrated farm that produces mushrooms, vegetables, and all of that. So I became the assistant farm manager in that farm. So I was like, okay, fine. All my work experience now is agriculture, but my passion lies in teaching. My passion lies in doing research, like that, and that's even the motivation that got me the first class. But unfortunately, I didn't get it. So when I got the job, I knew, even from hiring me, my employer was like, this result I am seeing cannot last in a farm. Like, this is a farm that there is no electricity, in a remote village in a Lagos Abeokuta expressway. A female for that matter. All my manager is a male, supervisor males, all the artisans that work there, and even laborers, the non-skilled laborers, they are males. So I'm the only female in the whole organization in a farm setting with no electricity. So my employer already knew that with these results that I'm seeing that I use in hiring you, you are not going to stay long in the farm. And which was actually true, because sincerely my passion did not even lie in that rural environment. That's just the truth. I would not just be productive, but I tried because I knew that I have this experience, this agricultural experience, and I also see some things that are doing in that organization that I felt, okay, this is going to give me a room for growth. So I feel, okay, let me just take the employment, let me take the offer. But I know I'm not going to last long in this environment, because it's not the kind of environment I want to work for a long time in. So luckily for me, I applied for my master's and I got admission. I got admission at University of Ibadan. So I said, okay, I talked to my employer. I said I was going to be like doing this together. Like, I would do contract work. I have to change my employment from full time to part time and be able to combine my academics to with the job on the farm, assistant farm manager. And my supervisor, my employer initially agreed, but she was like, I told you when I wanted to hire you that you're not going to stay long on the farm. This is it already, just 3 months. You're already saying you want to combine in the work to your masters and all of that. But I say this is just going to benefit everybody. It's a win-win for us. I get my research experience from University of Ibadan. I get to solve problems on the farm. I get to apply it. And I also get funds from the farm and use to pay my school fees, sponsor my research. So it's a win-win. Just allow me. I can merge the two together. And the way we talk things when we actually want to get the money from the job. Like, that's just the thing. So I was able to talk my way out, and he was able to agree the offer. But the offer didn't last long. I think it was just 1 month. The second month, he said, come, this is a private enterprise. We cannot continue this way. Each time you're not around, you're in your school, we get to lose a lot of things in terms of productivity and efficiency. You're not there to manage. So we cannot continue this way. It's not paying us. You have to choose one. And of course, I would not choose a farm for my research, for my master's research. So I chose a farm, I mean, my research studies, my master's. I chose it as against being in that remote farm. But that was actually like a turning point for me. So immediately I finished my master's, I was like, okay, I want to start. The job hunting continues. Let me go. Maybe I'm going to get the research job I've always wanted, or the academic job I always wanted. But yet I didn't get it, even after a lot of volunteering in different higher institutions. So my research came into play. You are always solving problems. Whenever you have any challenge, you always solve it. So why not just turn this into an enterprise? Like, solving my problem of unemployment, despite all the skills, the experience, the farming experience I have, the first class degree I have, still I'm not able to get the kind of research job or the kind of academic job in the farming space, the agricultural space I wanted. So I just thought, in fact, one of my lecturers motivated me to starting. She was just like, Kafilat, you can do this particular equipment for sterilizing mushroom. We want the same equipment in IITA, instead of International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan, to be able to sterilize our soil in the bioscience unit. You should be able to do it. I said, yes, it's the same principle. I can do it. Only, but now we cannot just give you as a person. We need a company letterhead. I've never created any company. I just finished my master's hunting for a job. I don't even know that I want to start a business. And she just told me that I should go and bring a company letterhead. I'm going to take that contract. And that was it. And sincerely, that was it. I just talked to my dad, and my dad just gave me a company letter from something related to agriculture that he has done in the past and all of that. And that was it. I got the contract, and that was my first contract into the agricultural space. And in fact, she was one doctor. She's not a professor. That I keep looking for, like a model, like a role model. That's okay. I want to get a job. She works both in an academic environment and a research institute. She works in IITA and University of Ibadan. So I see her as the kind of a person, the kind of job I've always wanted. So I'm always disturbing her that I need a job. I need a job. And the only thing she can offer me, because she's not government that will give me a job, she just said, okay, I'll give you this contract. And sincerely, she's one of my motivator to starting my business. Like, it was just by accident. Like, I just wanted to solve my own problem of getting an academic job or research job together. So I started the contract, and before then, I mean, before you know it, from one contract to the next contract to the next, and I registered my own organization as a business name when I started up and all of that. And before you know it, I started as a business, started working, it started making sense. People come all the way from Lagos to Oshogbo. I stay in my father's house. I don't have an office or an office space. Everything I practice is just the skill I know from my farm experience. At the same time, I have a small space in my father's compound. We used to grow our own food, different things I practice from what I've learned. As a first class graduate, I always feel like, okay, I should be able to defend my first class anywhere. I wouldn't want somebody asking a first class agronomy graduate, how do mango grow? And I will not be able to answer because I don't have the practical skills of growing mango. And you say you're a first class agronomy graduate. So it's pushed me further to always seek practical skills in agriculture. And luckily for me, my internship, my NYC, my job, my farm job, they were all farm, they were all agricultural based. So all of these skills and experience, I gathered them, implement in my father's compound, use that to start my contract consulting company. And I started getting people coming for training all the way from where I cannot even imagine to Lagos, until I even had to relocate due to marriage again. And that became another story again. I had to solve another problem again. So it was problems coming in the route of entrepreneurship that I did not even plan for. that keep me innovating, that make me to keep innovating, transitioning my company, tailoring it towards what people actually need that can make the business or company sustainable. Thank you very much.
You know what inspired you, and it's giving me a very inspirational story. Like it's even inspiring me, and I hope that the audience listening to us, they are able to take one or two things from this. I really love this part that you never accepted less, you never settled for mediocrity. You always wanted, the experience, the quality, and you are down for it. And another thing that I saw with your story, in which I don't see with many other people, now they see that when they want to create a business or solve a problem, it has to be a problem about others. But how about your own problem? Because you yourself, you could be facing the same problems as all other people, and that would just be the jackpot ticket, right? So I love that. I love that you have been versatile, and even my second question was going to go into the challenges that you face, and you spoke about the challenges and how you are able to overcome that. And I really like that you have people supporting you one way or the other, right? So that's a very good one. So I'll just go into the next question, right? So we get into what exactly we want to discuss today. So let's go to the real issue of the aspect of growing from and these topics, they have things to understand and that might look similar. Yeah, I'm talking about recycle and upcycle, talking about circular economy, and how to grow you know your food. I would like you, to expatiate on these terms. Give us meaning for them. What does it mean by what does it mean to recycle? What does it mean to upcycle? What How is it different from circular economy? When we talk about circular economy, we are talking about plastic be part of the food.
I'm finding difficult to hear you properly. Like it's a bit low from your end. I don't know whether it's my network, but I'm
Can you hear
finding
me
it
now?
very
Am I
difficult.
am I am I audible?
Yes, very much better now.
Okay, so what I was just saying is I wanted to you touch and how you were able to navigate those challenges. Am I still audible? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, but I still did
Hello?
not get it froze along the line. So I didn't get some
Okay.
parts. Please, can
Yeah,
you
so so
just kind of
so I just want us to go straight into the real issue of the day. Talking about the topic, food security, upcycle, circular economy, and all that. So what I saw is that some of these terms could be confusing because they are related. Looking at recycle and upcycle, and give us examples of sustainability.
okay, I will just assume I got it right. Like upcycling, food security, circular economy. You want me to talk about this term? Is that what you said?
Yes, exactly, yes.
Okay, so upcycling for us started also from the fact that I do not like anything to go to waste. Like anything is not a waste until you actually waste it. That's the slogan, right? So we always look for giving things added value, like long life, so to say. So rather than just trash it or waste it, we want to give it another value. We want to give it a second-hand value. We want it to be able to be used again. So we go ahead do that. Now, it is interesting why we actually. It is interesting when we were actually doing that. I got to learn about something that I've been doing already, like just out of the fact that my personality, I don't like something to go to waste. I don't even know that there's a terminology known as a circular economy and all until I got to meet a friend and was like, this thing you're already doing, this is circular economy. There's something we call circular food and all of that. So I started researching into that and I saw that, okay, fine. So like I'm already working the path of circular economy that everybody is now advocating for, even globally, has become a great issue. And why what is circular economy talking about? Circular economy is talking about sustainability. It's talking about making being responsible producer, such that you don't have waste generated from your industry, or perhaps the waste you generate, you are able to give it a value, you give it a longer life, it doesn't cause nuisance to environment and all of that. So circular economy is a kind of the one that supports as against the linear economy, that we just acquire something or manufacture something and eventually it's finished the life cycle and it turns to waste. It's just linear: purchase, buy, use, it has finished the life cycle, then discard. That's linear economy. But now circular economy is saying that you can actually make it continuous. Instead of stopping it at that time when the value has ended, you can still make it to become an input, a raw material for another sector or for another industry, right? So that it has a longer shelf life. It doesn't just end there. It becomes a very good input to start another cycle, right? So that's what circular economy is into. Now, looking at what we're already doing in the agricultural space, I started the agricultural space when I relocated to Lagos. Continue what I've started from my father's compound, now trying to get a farmland, get an office space and all of that. I got farmland. Omonile people, the land grabbers, they showed me Shege, like Shege Pro Max. Like till date, like three, I even got from two different locations, all because I know that I don't want to run into problem with people that sell land and all of that. Even at that, I got land in two different locations. None of the land do I have access to today. If one is not by these land grabbers, some is diabolic issue that they will say it's one family that sell land for you, it's another family that owns the land. Lagos issue, with spending a lot of money and a lot of energy and effort, I had to just quit it and say, okay, let me just go and rent a space. Now I got to rent a space in a farm settlement, and I was like, with all the money I've wasted when I just came to Lagos 2 years, I couldn't get anything due to land issues. So I just feel like, okay, how do I reduce my cost of production and still make my business thriving? Whatever manufacturing business or production business I want to start, which I have passion for, I want us to have access to quality food on the urban space. We must be safe. Our food must be safe and secure. That's food security. You want access to abundant food, at the same time healthy, not just abundant but also safe for consumption, free of chemicals. That was what I wanted. That was my passion. That was what I'm used to from my father's compound growing our food, right? But now, to implement it in Lagos become a problem because of land issues. So the only opportunity I later got is getting to secure a land, or to rent a land or lease a space, a very small space in a farm settlement. And here in this farm settlement, they do fisheries, they do poultry. It's a lot of waste I am seeing. And because I don't see waste, I already understood the power of waste, that it can be a resource to start another circle. So when I got to that farm settlement and I was seeing a lot of waste, I knew that these are not waste. These are resources for me that I can harness. There are potentials, there are opportunities I can harness to now start my company all over again and be able to reduce my cost of production and bring something worthwhile. And because of my past experience and challenges and everything, all I could think about when I got to the farm settlement was, how do I upcycle this waste? Number one, if I'm upcycling the waste, my cost of production, running cost will be lower. Number two, I'm going to be doing something unique in this farm settlement. They are wasting a lot of potential. They are wasting poultry manure. Poultry manure, I know, is rich in fertilizer for plants, rich in nitrogen fertilizer. Fish waste, the same thing. I knew this from my agricultural knowledge. So I feel this thing that they are wasting here, these are resources. These are power resources. These are raw materials for my own industry. So I just act like, okay, and plus the fact that I don't have enough money to do a lot of production and manufacturing in the agri space. So I felt what is very reasonable for me is to look into the upcycle this waste and turn them into inputs that the farmers in the same settlement will become my customers. You imagine. Then at the same time, because these farmers are not enlightened, they don't know so much about this waste. That is why they are wasting it before. So I have to have a training demonstration space for them. So they see it working. So that they'll be able to believe what I'm preaching to them. If I say, okay, don't use chemical, I use my own organic farming inputs. These are my natural farming inputs. I made organic manure from your poultry waste or fish waste. I make pesticide from this, biopesticide from all of this waste, all these plants extracts in your farm settlement. They will not want to accept me because they believe in those chemicals they use, right? So I need a training space. So the only thing I could think about, because I have a small space, but I had the only abundance resources I have at that time, as of that time, was the waste they generated in the farm settlement. So all I could think about is transitioning my company into an upcycling company where I could also do a training demonstration for the farmer. That way, I wouldn't need a lot of farmland because I'm not into primary food production, right? If I get that right, I'm able to get my training right, I supply inputs to the growers. Eventually, I will have abundant people in my network that will be producing food for me, and I could just focus on processing, right? So this is actually a challenge, and that was what led me into like, okay, because I already know the potential the waste has got, why not start an upcycling company, upcycle this waste into farming inputs, right? Reducing the environmental impact and training these farmers on how to use these inputs. Eventually, to cut down their cost of production, it will become a win-win for both of us. Now, I started a business from nothing. I started that particular venture with just 100,000 naira. I used to secure that space and transform it. It was actually a dump site in the farm settlement they gave me. A dump site where they put all of poultry waste, every waste in that farm is always dumped in that place. So it makes that particular space as small, as tiny as it is, to be very, very fertile. So I was able to start producing natural fertilizers, potting mix for people to start growing their own food. And the only thing that made sense for me as of that time is to start advocating for how you can grow food naturally. Because I knew if I'm going to be using that space to start growing that food for them, it wouldn't be sustainable. Now that's where sustainability comes in. Sustainability is what you want to make, you want it to last. You want to start a business and you want that business venture to last. You want to do something, use a particular input, and you want it to have a long lasting effect. For instance, we compare the use of chemical fertilizer and organic fertilizer, for instance. We can use that to describe sustainability. For chemical fertilizer, it's just going to be feeding the plants. One off. You apply your chemical fertilizer, you see the result on your plant, effect on your plant immediately, sharp, sharp. You see your result, and that's the end. But it's not sustainable because aside the chemical fertilizer, there are other additives, chemical additives that are added that make the active ingredients of those chemical fertilizers to be stable. These additives are chemical, they are not natural. They go to the soil, they become residue, they have residual effects. So at a point in time, the land will not be fertile again because all the microorganisms, all the beneficial organisms that naturally break down organic matter to give soil nutrients to make it fertile will not be there anymore. So Yoruba will say at a point that they've used a lot of chemical fertilizer on the land, maybe 4 or 5 years. They say let it sha. That means the land is no more fertile, right? But if you use organic fertilizer or you integrate both, so to say, you are enriching the soil. Organic fertilizer feed the soil or the medium where you are growing your plants. It's not feeding the plants directly, but it will be releasing that nutrient steadily because the microorganism will breaking the organic matter down little by little. It will be available to the plant little by little over a very long period of time. So that way, though it's not sharp, sharp, you will not see the result immediately like that. You only be seeing little, little, little. But over time, it lasts longer. It lasts longer. It makes the soil to even be fertile over a long period of time without even applying anything over time. In fact, I see it hands-on the space that they gave to me in that farm settlement. It was a dump site, like I mentioned. For 2-3 years, I was using that thing to grow food, to demonstrate to people how to grow their own food. I did not apply one single fertilizer, not even natural organic fertilizer, because they've dumped a lot of waste on that ground over a long period of time. So it makes the land use sustainable, as against using chemical fertilizer on the same kind of land. So now, if I'm going to be differentiating those, or saying those terminology again, I would say food security is getting access to abundant food, the quantity of food that we need to survive as human. At the same time, quality food. Both quantity and quality is important for food security, so that we will not give rise to hidden hunger. So you want abundant food. At the same time, not just empty food that doesn't have calorie or that doesn't have any nutrients. You want food that is healthy, food that becomes medicine, food that are chemical free, right? And they are also in abundant quantity. We don't have that. So that's why we say we are food insecure in Nigeria at the moment. In Lagos, I see it firsthand. I'm coming from where I grow my food, so I know what it tastes, what quality food, what it looks like. With your money in Lagos, you will still be buying poor quality food produce. You can have money and buy abundance, but they are of poor quality because they've gone through a lot of contamination. They've gone through a lot of chemical. They've used a lot of chemical to grow them. First time in that same farm settlement I tell you about, I see people grow ewedu, vegetables, leafy greens. Aside the fact that they are going to use their poultry waste they generate from that place, they still use chemicals. They still use battery water to spray from pests. Battery water, these are toxic things that will leave residual effects on the leaves. And they don't even observe the incubation period, that any chemicals or any chemical pesticide you use on a plant, that you are supposed to leave it for a particular number of days, from 7 to 14 days, depending on the manufacturer instruction. They don't follow that because they are not learned. They just apply this pesticide, and before you know it, somebody comes to buy tomorrow or next tomorrow, they cut it and sell. This is what I see firsthand. I know this is poison. Now you get to the market, you see fresh ewedu, very dark green in color. You think you are buying something fresh, organic. You don't know that it's something that they just sprayed with chemical pesticide because they don't want insects to bore holes on the leaves. Meanwhile, eating insects is safe. It's safer than eating chemicals, right? So this is the problem. This is a challenge. This is food security. You want abundant food and quality food. That's food security, right? Now, circular economy is reducing waste or mitigating no waste at all, because your waste become the resources. Your waste become the resources of another, starting another in the flow. So it's not linear. It's not getting to waste. The waste becomes a raw material to start another thing. So it becomes circular. The output from one venture becomes the input for another venture. That's circular economy. So everything becomes circular. No waste, zero waste, right? And sustainability is when you say you have a long-lasting effect. And in summary, we cannot have it as, when you want to achieve sustainability, you have to look at the 3 P's. That thing you are doing, that venture you are doing, that manufacturing you are doing, that whatever you're doing, production process you're doing, does it meet that 3P criteria? What are the 3 P's? Good for the people. The people is very important. Good for the people, healthy to the people, in sufficient quantity for the people, right? Meet the people's need. Number 2, planet. We are not building a business that at the end of the day, the incoming generations will be cursing us. No, we don't want that. We want a business that we want to build that will also be able to make the world a better place for everybody, even the incoming generation. We don't want to spoil everything. We don't want to degrade. We don't want to degenerate anything. That's why we are not using chemicals. So it has to be good to the planet, not just to the people. Your workers, the consumers, the producers, everybody must be fine, must be healthy. Then your planet, the health that we are using, that God has made easy for us to be able to be plowing, to produce food. We don't want it to, we want it to be useful to the incoming generation as well. So it should be good to the planet, right? And the third thing is that it should be profit making. If it is not making profit, it's not making sense. Passion is not sustainable. So you want to tick all the 3 P's to ensure good sustainability, in whatever you're doing. You want whatever you're doing to be good to the people, good to the planet, and also be profitable, right? So I think maybe I've been able to shed more light on these 3 concepts. I hope this kind of makes sense to somebody or resonates well with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was really value packed, and I learned a lot. I'm part of the audience here, getting to know more about sustainability, circular economy, upcycle and recycle. Right. So I will just um, try to brief on what you said, so that I, I'm certain that I understood it, and also for the audience as well. Talking about recycle, based on my understanding, recycle is about materials. Upcycle is about using these waste materials and creating products out of it, right? The circular economy thing is about continuous process of upcycling, right? And the sustainability is to ensure that this is uh, lasting, and also incorporate the elements, of safety, right? The food has to be safe. The method they use in producing it, the practices, they have to be safe. And I'm happy that you are lending the talk to addressing, the wrong practices with food production, producing with chemicals, and also spraying chemicals, harvesting them when the chemicals have not attained their withdrawal period, that is safe to be eaten. And I like, that when you discuss all this, you sort of personalize it. You talk about some of the things that you've been doing, the challenges as well, and how you're able to offer solutions, right? And also demonstrating. I know that it takes a lot of resilience, demonstrating to the farmers that this actually works, and they can, do it this way. You're not only talking about it, you're also offering, solutions to it. So that to me is really, really impressive, and I love the aspect of sustainability that you touched on. Talking about the three P's: the people, the planet, and the profit. Margin, profit, and remuneration. That if what you are doing, you have passion for it, you love it, but when it's not making money, it doesn't make sense. So there should be an intersection of both, you know, for it to really make sense. Just as you are serving the public, you ensure that you are serving yourself, you are taking good care of yourself also. I like the aspect of food security that you gave uh, to, it's not just about having access to caloric food. You must have access to the balanced nutrition, you know, so that you don't have hidden hunger, right? And even it's not even about eating. You must not eat in excess as well, because excess eating is also a form of malnutrition. We are talking about overweight, obesity condition, and some of the heart-related diseases that come with and health challenges that come with this health issue. So thank you so much for that. So I would just love to go into that food security deeper, right? So we have this case, I converse with a lot of people who have been following this discussion of growing your food from home. So what I've seen is that, and I'm able to gather, is that when you talk about producing food from home, a lot of people don't really believe that you can produce food from home and meet uh, your food needs, food security. So I want you to differentiate between these two terms, or what is the essence of producing food from home? Is producing food from home to help to meet our food security, or to help to provide all the whole foods that we need? What is the importance of producing food from home? I like to hear from you. Thank you.
Okay. The difference between food security and nutrition security, right?
Food security and food sustainability.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Food security and food sustainability. Yeah. Okay, so like I mentioned again, I'll go back to the definition of food security is having access to enough quantity, sufficient food for people to be able to like what they depend on to be able to grow, meet up with their daily activities and all of that, and having access to also quality food. So it's not just about the sufficient quantity, but also adequate quality, like improved quality. So food security is both talking about abundant food and safe food. So it's both food safety and food abundance. That's what food security entails, right? We want to be eating whole food, healthy food. We want our food to become our medicine, not junks, not empty calories, right? So that's food security in its essence. Now, for food sustainability is for you to have, like, sustainability in its word is lasting, a long lasting effect. So when you're not talking about food sustainability, you're looking at making food to have a long lasting effect, like you be able to afford it, have access to it every now and then when you need it. So I believe complete food sustainability, that's like independency, like self-sufficiency in terms of food. That's what are we term food sustainability. Is being self-sufficient in food production, which I believe is the right of everybody. Like every citizen, everybody, we should be able to, because this is what we depend on. Food is what we provide us with nutrients for us to grow, to develop, to be able to perform well as humans. So it has to be sufficient, it has to be enough for us, and it has to be available every time. Not at this time we see it, then the next time we are in hunger again. So for when we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about having a long lasting effect, us being able to have access to safe and abundant food every time we need it, right? So I think for us to be able to achieve true food sustainability, then we have to be self-sufficient in terms of our food production, whether as a community, as a country, or as an individual or as a household. There must be what we call self-sufficiency in food production. From our seeds, the kind of seeds we'll be growing, we should be able to trace that, know where it is coming from. The kind of nutrients this food will be giving us after growing them, we should be able to know. It should be sustainable. Do you understand what I'm trying? So for I would just say food sustainability is just like an advancement or improvement over food security. Food security entails safe food and abundant food, right? Sufficient food for everyone and safe food, quality food. Sustainability is telling us how this sufficient food and safe food will have a long-lasting effect. We will always be having access to it. Not that sometimes we have access, sometimes we don't have access. Because eating food is not supposed to be like one-off thing. It's like an everyday thing. It's something that we should have access to over a long period of time throughout our existence. So that's why sustainability is very, very important for us. And I think for us to be able to achieve true food sustainability, then we have to be self-sufficient in terms of food production. In terms of food production, we should not just be dependent all the time, because when you are dependent, your source can have a problem, because you're actually dependent, and they can, even those people that you are depending on for your food, they can use it as a weapon to do anything for you, to eliminate you if they want to eliminate you, right? Because food is power. So if you want food sustainability, then you have to want to think about self-sufficiency in food production, either as an individual, as a household, as a country, or as a community. That's just my own take, my personal.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for that. I just want you to go a little bit deeper. It's part of the question that I asked, right? People are saying that producing food from home is just very little, that it cannot have effect on food security, or it cannot help us to reach food security. That if we are to reach food security, we have to open land en mass. We have to be producing mechanized farming, technologically inclined and all that. What do you think to that? Is it untrue, or does homegrowing of foods have a role to play, in food security, national food security? Thank you.
Okay, so I think each question is just like like a modification from the previous question. I love that. Well done. Okay, so for sustainability, so we already know that it's something long lasting. So if you want to compare growing annuals and perennials, you want to choose growing perennials as more sustainable than growing annuals, right? Imagine you grow a particular pepper, a pepper plant, or a pepper plant. Yes, pepper is a kind of perennial plant if you're able to manage it very well, and you keep harvesting every now and then, compared to if you just grow a short term one that just harvest once and that's the end, right? Okay, you want to also compare with tree crops. Tree crops are the most sustainable type of crops. You want to talk about growing grapevines and being able to harvest that tree for 100 years. You want to talk about growing cocoa. After 5 years, cocoa start producing, you keep harvesting for the next 30 to 50 years. Now, this is true sustainability because they have long lasting effects. You only do the work once and you keep getting results abundantly. But you still have to, we cannot only depend on all of those crops. We still must have access to vegetables, which are very high in micronutrients, antioxidants, vitamins, all the things that we need to grow effectively and even become medicine to us, the food being our medicine. So we need to now start deducing ways. In fact, one of the reasons why I like what I practice, like a vertical farming, so to say, is the fact that I can grow my vegetables that ordinarily I will just grow a few of them on a small space and I will harvest and that's the end. I can grow my vegetables like perennials because I'm all about food sustainability. So how do I grow it? I grow them in vertical pipes that I just need to be supplying seedlings or seed and the structure is already there and they keep giving me yield. I keep harvesting. So if I feel like I've harvested enough, like my ewedu for instance, instead of just uprooting my ewedu like the conventional farmers we do, I'll just cut from it. I only stop cutting the stem when I notice that the leaves are becoming tough. Then I replace with small seed. So this is what we are talking about when we are talking about sustainability. Rather than just plant my ewedu that we just spend 40 days, basically. Then in 30 days, normally I will start harvesting my ewedu, fresh ewedu. So in 30 days, I harvest my ewedu, but the conventional farmers, the local farmers, they will just uproot, then start another cycle. I won't do that. I will just be cutting the stem, the leaves that I need because I needed the leaves for cooking. The more I cut, the more, and I had more nutrients, the more it will sprout again. So I have that particular plant over a long period of time. I only get to say I'm okay with this particular life cycle. I want to start another production cycle because it's actually an annual crop. I'm the one trying to make it to be like perennial because I want it to be sustainable, right? I only get to plant new version or new batch when I'm tired, when I feel like, oh, these leaves are already getting tough. They might not get as much nutrients as I want when I get this fresh one or the softer ones. So I plant more seed, right? If I even want to go ahead and make it more sustainable, I will have a plot or a portion of my farmland where I will be growing some particular ewedu for seeds so that I can save my own seed, right? I can save my own seed. I will not be keep buying seed all the time I want to start a new cycle or a new cycle of production. So from the same ewedu that I already have in a small portion, those particular ewedu will not be for the leaves, they will be for the seed. So I just grow them for seed so that I can have inputs, I can have raw material to always plant a new cycle for the fresh leaves that I wanted. So this is just a scenario, an example, how you can make your food production to be sustainable. And I also think that compared with mechanized farming and commercial industrial farming, with home growing or backyard farming or small scale intensive farming or household farming, I think household farming is more sustainable and give us that self-sufficiency that I talked about. If you want to achieve true sustainability in food production, you want to start looking at self-sufficiency. You have control over what you are doing because you already know that you are growing this food for your consumption, your own consumption. So if you are going to be using chemicals at all, you want to use it responsibly. You want to follow the manufacturer's guide. You don't want to do it abruptly because you know you are feeding yourself. You cannot intentionally kill yourself, right? So, but what for the commercial farmers, for the mechanized farming, they want to achieve a lot. So their various, I think the utmost gain is what is for profit, and they feel like okay, it's only by putting a lot of chemicals because it's for profit. They are not concerned about the health of even the people working for them. That's why you see them spraying chemicals abruptly, not even following the recommendation rates. Why? Because they just want to make a lot of money. They want to meet that unending demand. Because the production, the population of humans keep increasing every day at a geometric and progression rate. So they just want to meet up, and they know that more people, more demand is more money, right? So they just want to do anything to increase their production without any consideration for maybe okay, these chemicals are too much, I don't want to use it irresponsibly, I don't want to, you understand, because they just want fast results. That's what mechanized farming is all about, right? But on a sustainable level, I'm not against mechanization. Mechanization is improvement, is using technology. You can have mechanization and still use chemicals responsibly, or don't even use chemical at all, even with mechanization. On a sustainable level, on a household level, you can still use implements. You can use tools that will make your life easy, that will give you more results, a productivity and efficiency will be increased while you are still in the household level. But in the household level, you will be more conscious of what goes into your production. You will not accept GMOs. You will use seeds that you are saving. You are in control. You know what you are putting into the system. You will not use chemicals abruptly, right? And if every household or every community can be independent or self-sufficient in terms of food production, then it can now lead to like exchange, like adding values. You have more of ewedu in your region, I can get ewedu from you. I have more tomatoes, I can exchange with tomatoes, This is true. I can buy ewedu because I'm not growing ewedu. I don't have the access to grow ewedu in my own space. Maybe I prefer tomatoes, or maybe my growing system favors only tomato. Then the other farmers or the other community can buy tomato from me. I can buy ewedu from them. It will even favor trade. Everybody will be fine, and we are sure that we are actually eating healthy food. So that it cannot be commercialized is also a lie, because whatever I grow in my household, for instance, I can possibly not finish everything, right? So I can still have some left that I can even trade for money and use it to get those things that I need, aside the ones that I'm producing. So with household farming, you can use one stone to kill two birds. You eat your healthy food, you can be able to know where your food is coming from. At the same time, you can also make profits, because you have remains, you have excess that you can always add value and sell and get money in return to keep funding what you are doing. So it's more sustainable for me, and you are not dependent on anybody, on any source, unlike commercial farming or mechanized farming, that I just want to get to the market and buy good plantain. They give it an attractive thing for me. They give it even a very high price. I get the plantain, I take it home, I open it, I see that it has been ripened with carbide. It's not fresh, it's not chemical free. I buy with a lot of money, looking fresh in the market, get home, I cannot use it. If I eat it, it's poison. Because I don't know where the food is coming from. I could not trace it. Right? So, but if I have a plantation in my household, I know, I'm very sure of my plantain. So I'm healthier consuming from my own space, from what I have produced. And eventually, if I have excess plantain, I can sell to my neighbor. And I know what I'm selling, because I know the heads. Even they will trust me more, because they know what I've gone into it. No chemicals, no ripening with carbide and all of that. Right? So this is what I'm going to be used. But it doesn't mean that mechanization cannot be added or integrated into household self-sufficient food production. We cannot always adopt it. This is what we are even clamoring for, that okay, use technology, improve technology and all of that. And for our farmer, for our big commercial farmers and mechanized farming, we are not trying to say, okay, it's not good to start a farming as a venture, it's not profitable. It's profitable, it's good. But we also want them to have the heads of the people to be more conscious. So I'll be a bit what will I call it? I'll be in the middle at this point. Mechanized farming and commercial farming, they have their own good, they have their own plus. Self-sufficiency, household farming, food production, backyard farming, it has its own place as well, right? And each one of it has the pros and the cons, the advantage and the disadvantage. But I believe to achieve food sustainability through self-sufficiency, it will work more with household farming. Like, okay, you have your own that you grow, you're able to monitor your small space, the other person is able to monitor their own small space. Integrating mechanization or efficient technology, improve tools into it, because that's where I'm going to stop. So like, we are still kind of blending both systems into one system to achieve true sustainability, right? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you for expatiating on the sustainability aspect of household food growing. Helping us to understand why it is very important. Although we are pushing for growing, but you still maintain this sort of balanced approach, and you see potential for mechanized farming. I see that both will be blended together to actually help us to reach food security and food sustainability, right? So we still come to the aspect of actually, will I say mechanizing, or technologically equipping home food production. I think you are doing that as well. So we'll come back to that shortly. But I want to go to this first, right? You've mentioned different crops that can be, grown from home. You
Please,
mentioned
is there a way you can be more audible? I still have issues with.
okay. Uh, am I audible now?
Kind of
Can
better,
you hear me
but
now?
as you start talking again, it goes low. I don't know whether it's the network. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. Uh, am I audible now?
Yes, much better now. But when you start talking again, the pitch gets to reduce. I don't know whether it's the network or maybe some technical issues. I'm not sure.
Okay. So, can you still hear me very well now as I'm speaking? Uh,
Yes, I can
this
hear you.
Okay, so right, I want to have commended the part where you went for home food growing and still establish this sort of balanced approach and the need for mechanized farming and both the importance in reaching food security and food sustainability, right? So during the course of your presentation, you spoke about some that we can actually grow from. You mentioned from you can be harvesting them about to me. You mentioned from I mentioned and they are sick and you feel that you have to restart a new and I chose they are in that. So the questions of people, the concept of food from a lot of now down to I think the opportunity is going in the food production aspect. I'm now looking at let's look at the value chain now. What are the opportunities in that value chain beyond just food production? Also want you to touch on the upcycling aspect as well. Some of the opportunities that doesn't necessarily have to do like deal with okay, you have to produce your food, it's just about producing food, but there are also some other opportunities in it. I'd like you to enlighten us on that.
I'm trying to see whether it's from my end. So that's why I'm trying to change location and but I can't still hear you. That's the issue.
You couldn't hear, you didn't hear all the things that I said.
Yes, I find it difficult to even pick out what you said. So that was how I was trying to change my location and see what actually is the problem. Yes, yes.
Can you still hear me now? Hello,
I can hear
hello.
you now.
Okay. The question I was asking was regarding the opportunities with the homegrown food, growing food from home concept. Like, what are the opportunities there? From what we've discussed, I'm aware that one of the opportunities is to actually be producing food. Is there some other things that okay, when entrepreneurs or people that want to play in the sector, maybe they want to choose one aspect or the other? What are the vastness of opportunities in that area? When you are addressing this, I want you to address it on upcycling as well. Some the opportunities there. Did you get me? So did you get me?
Trying to say that can we achieve sustainability through homegrown food. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying can
I'm
we
not saying can
achieve
we
sustainability.
achieve sustainability.
What I'm saying is
What I'm
that
saying is that
what are the
what are
opportunities
the
in
opportunities in
along the food growing
along the growing
concept? That's
concept
not necessarily just
that's not
about
necessarily just
growing
about
food alone.
growing food alone.
Okay, okay. Okay, so I get that perfectly. So you mean the value chain, the opportunities for youths that want to be in that space, right?
Exactly, and we can
Exactly,
touch on
and we can touch
upcycling
on
as well when you
upcycling
talk
as well
about
when
it.
you talk
The
about
opportunities in
Okay.
the
upcycling.
opportunities in upcycling.
Okay. Okay. So basically this is very interesting and a very good one, because I will tell you from personal experience, if you want to start out in the agricultural space as a maybe solo founder or a startup founder, you don't have a lot of capital or not even enough capital, I wouldn't advise you to just jump into primary food production. Primary production is farming. I will advise you to start from service rendering in the farming sector, or if you're going to be starting production at all, you'll be using upcycling of waste. Your raw material will be from waste. So, and I'll give you different value chain. Like I will mention some different value chains, opportunities that are buying in that space. Starting from upcycling, you can actually consider agricultural waste from the food industry. For instance, these are materials, food industry, all the food waste, they are materials that can be made into organic fertilizer, natural fertilizer. So you can make a lot of either liquid fertilizer or solid fertilizer, and you can use this and sell it in comparison to what they sell as chemical fertilizer to farmers, to commercial farmers, or even home growers, home gardeners, people that grow their own food. People that grow their own food self, it will be a better market for us, because for growers, they prefer that what they are using to grow their food should be free from chemicals as much as possible, because this food is part of is part of the system, is what we want our food to be, our medicine. So we will not accept chemicals. We will prefer the natural fertilizer, the biopesticide, and all of these things I mentioned. Natural fertilizer, natural pesticide, they can be getting from food waste, from agricultural waste. You can make them. Just make your research. So imagine you're starting a manufacturing company, producing fertilizer, producing pesticide, and you're using waste as your raw material. It has already drastically reduced your cost of production, which means that if you do your marketing right, there will be more profit for you. And it's a system, is a venture that you can easily scale as a business. That really has a growing demand, because many people now are clamoring for organic food. So if you're clamoring for organic food, it means that you have to grow your food with organic inputs. So organic input production business using waste, agricultural waste and food waste, is a good one. So in that value chain. And of course, home gardeners, home growers, they are your markets. Like they prefer that than the commercial farmers. And you can even sell perfectly to commercial farmers if you integrate. Perhaps commercial farmers now, because they know that people are now clamoring for their own organic food and all of that, they are now doing integrated system. They are mixing both chemicals and organic fertilizer together, just to get more profit that they want to get, sharp results. At the same time, also get to buy people that actually want their food to be organic. They are also able to buy them and retain their customers. So they are integrating both systems. So those commercial farmers too can also be your good targets if you're able to upcycle agricultural waste or food waste into natural farming inputs, organic inputs basically. So this is a very lucrative venture that has a lot of potentials, and you can easily scale as a business. Start up with a little capital and easily grow as a business, right? So that's one. Another one is food processing, right? We don't have, we said we are not food secured yet as a country, as a nation. Yet over 45% of our food that are produced by the primary producer, the farmers, are getting wasted annually. So how about, just instead of saying, okay, you two, you want to join the primary producers, the farmers, how about you just staying in the food processing, and rather than using additives, chemicals, that what our food processors are giving us to eat, you see a particular tomato paste, there won't be a single tomato. If you look at the ingredients on the sachet, there won't be a single tomato based ingredient there, like that, like this. All you'll be seeing is coloring, starch. Those are the things that they put inside: cornstarch, coloring. No single tomato, even if there's tomato, very limited. How about you starting when tomato 45% goes to waste annually? How about finding a way to have access to these tomatoes that did not make it to the market, or because they have gone through damages on the road? I mean, it has been pressed. It's not like they are diseased. They are not rotten. They are not diseased. They are just pressed. They do not have good market value as fresh tomato anymore. How about processing these ones into dry tomato or even tomato paste, right? This is your home growers and people that are health conscious. Basically, they are good target market for this, because how can I be buying tomato paste sachets, imported one or even locally made one, and all the ingredients on that list is not even a single tomato that is there? You get it? So when I have access to other tomato sauce, that okay, maybe tomato powder or tomato paste, that they are using whole tomato, everything is tomato, no additives, no chemicals, preservatives, all natural. So people are now going towards, the trend is now going towards getting local food, healthier options, right, from whole food. So at the same time, now you'll be reducing that waste that we go to 45% waste, food waste. At the same time, you start a lucrative business for yourself, because the tomatoes that you'll be buying are tomatoes that they are not diseased directly from the farmers. They are just being pressed. They have one breakage, or they are pressed. They have a lot of, these are the kind of tomato you'll be using, so that those ones will not go to waste. We will not be wasting tomato because we cannot sell them as fresh. Some people sell it as esha, though there's still like a disparity in esha, and because some esha we have disease, they will be rotting. You don't want that. You want the esha that they are healthy. The whole tomato is fresh, but it's not whole, it's not rigid, it has been broken or pressed. So that kind of tomato will be cheaper. So by the time you now start using that one and process it into maybe tomato powder, tomato paste, without chemical additives, this is a strong market as well. This is a big market that can help you to start your venture as your enterprise in the local food production system, aside being a primary producer, right? So this is you processing food waste into healthy food, or processing agricultural waste or food waste into natural farming inputs. These are chain that I have practiced myself. I started off myself. I was able to scale the business in this value chains I mentioned, right? Another thing I also talk about is the fruit juice. You can start your juice production, jam production, from even fruit, all the fruit waste as well, right? So when I'm saying fruit waste now, I'm not talking about the ones that are rotting or that are diseased. I'm talking about the ones that are still good, but for one reason or the other, they could not meet up the fresh market standard, because they are not old anymore. Maybe they are overripening, or they are soft, or they are pressed, or they are broken, but not diseased nor rotting. They can be used very well to make jam, to make wine, fruit juice, and all of that, right? So this is another good value chain that you can think about, right? And of course, the consultancy and training. If you're like me, that started up with enough experience in the farming place, I've worked in a farm, assistant farm manager. I've worked in a big farm, a commercial farm that supplies ShopRite. I've worked in farms that is federal government owned, like an irrigation basin project, before I started out as a business. So with this vast experience, I can sell my skill. I can sell my experience. That's service. I can help people to set up their home garden. I can help people to set up even their farm, because of this experience I've gathered from different farms I've worked in before I started my own business. So you can look into that as well. Service-based business. Helping people to set up their farms, helping people to set up their backyard farm, their own growing system that will be effective, that will be efficient, that will be chemical free, that will be able to utilize space very well. I do that. It's part of my work. You can look at consulting. You can look at training people as well, right? Setup is one service. Setting up for people, setting up garden for people is one service. Training them on how to set up on their own is another service. Consulting them if they have issues, to help them to manage pests, diseases, recommending solutions to their farms, right, is another service. So you can look into service-based business. And service-based business are usually low demand in terms of startup, and they are easy to scale fast, right? And now we are now in the digital age now. Everybody's now talking about developing app, developing technology, you can also develop real life technology that we use perhaps logistics, that we use people to be able to detect their pests and diseases efficiently in their farm and recommend solutions, right? That we use market access. Like, look at what Price Pally is doing, that you can easily just on your app be able to just order your fresh and they deliver to you, right? So these are also things you can start looking at. So rather than rather just services or anything, you can also learn, think about how you can develop AI tools, artificial intelligence tools, smart tech or smart software that can help to solve some of these problems. His logistics of agricultural produce to the home, delivery, right? Be able to detect pests and diseases on the farm and recommend solutions to farmers, right? And what you think can also be a problem that you think, okay, maybe AI can solve, and you can develop an app for that. That is also very, very little startup capital to start with, if you have the technical skills that it entails, right? All you want to just develop is how to go learn and train on this technology and see, work with local farmers, with real farmers that has this problem, real life problem, and develop something that would be a solution to everyone in the value chain, right? So these are just few of the things I can remember now, like the value chain that you can also like be able to start as a business and scale efficiently in the space I work with. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
I can hear you
I
very
want
well
to be
now.
sure that I'm
Yes.
audible. All right, good. So, thank you so much for mentioning the opportunities in the value chain. I caught some, or even all, you know, production. You divided it into two. Production and service based, right? Talking about production of food, production of inputs, right, and also blending of juice, jam production, and while you are talking about the service base, talking about consultancy and training, setting up, and it's actually good that you mentioned, that the service base can easily be established, especially for our young graduates looking for one or two things to do, and resources are constrained, right? Is low cost and easy to set up. And you're talking about some of these technologies that they can develop, AI tools for logistics and this all these different ideas. And I too, following this space, I've been able to come in touch with some of these ideas. Some people that I know, they are producing from home spices and herbs. From plants harvested in their gardens. Some are into production of seeds, right? They produce, they harvest the seed, store it properly and sell, right? Even the not if not only seed, propagating materials, the stem cuttings, all these the suckers and all, then we're talking about people actually divide packaging materials from some of these recycled materials, and even some of the fresh and dried uh, plants, right? And another thing that I've seen, in which you are also doing, right, is it falls under the service base, creation of educational materials, right? You don't necessarily have to see everyone. The training or teaching does not always have to happen physically. There is online resources, and they can easily access is monetized, right? So that's one of it. So my next question that I'm going to ask you, we are getting gradually to the end of the event today, and I must commend you. You've been very insightful, and you've done absolute diligence to all the questions that I've been asking, even expatiating on them meaningfully. I, commend you for that, right? So the next question I want to ask you is, I've been following this market for circular economy, upcycling, and even, homegrown foods, do it yourself and all that. And I see that the market is huge. So my question to you is that, do you see like Nigeria playing a big role in this market? And even for some of these ideas and all that, what what is the export potential for them? Can we start exporting from homes? You know, if you are able to establish this sustainable system, is repeatable and is delivering results, massive one, can we start exporting? I'd like to hear from you. Is there exporting potential from that?
Yes, there's a high export potential that if you're not even in an aggregated, like you don't have a cluster of farmer or aggregate of farmers working for you, you will not be able to meet up with the demand. The export potential is very, very vast, right? In fact, I heard lately that they are not even exporting raw waste. That's interesting to me anyway. They're not exporting raw waste to some countries that want to start harnessing the potential of all these organic waste and repurposing them into inputs or even for energy production. So I'm really thrilled to know that they are even now exporting organic waste in its real form. Like you've not even added any value, you've not upcycled it. You cannot even export it. But exports now, for me, I believe the best kind of export, the profitable export, is the one that you've already produced food from. Produce something from the waste value chain. You have value from it already, and that is what you are exporting. So that will give you more profits. But the only challenge with exportation that I know, as far as I know for now, is a lot of certification, the training involves, and the volume that is required. The volume, the quantity. You have to be like a major key player or have a lot of aggregate of farmers in your network to be able to meet up with the um with the supply if it comes to you, right? So I think that's just basically. I've not been exporting, but I know there's a lot of potential in industry. I worked with mushrooms. I didn't even meet up the local demand production for mushrooms, let alone now say I want to start harnessing exports, right? So, but I know there's a lot of potential in the industry. I know a few people that exports, like that we had programs together that we met. You understand? I know how they do it and how much money they make from the exportation space. So all of this is vegetables. I do mushrooms. I know of mushrooms very well. I know mushrooms. I have a few friends in the ginger space. That ginger is a spice, you know, that imports that exports ginger. She exports raw, but she also make other value added product from ginger. I think she make like 10 or 15 products from the ginger value in the ginger value chain alone. And she export very well. I think I've met her, we've done some programs together, and I know she does volume of exportation in that space, and she make a lot of money. So I know there's a lot of export potential in that. And I know also people that do exportation of hibiscus, zobo, regular zobo. Like these are all in the herbs and spices and vegetables space. And I know people that do for our teas. They make all these tiger nuts as snacks. I know somebody that even do that on a low key, not even in volumes like I mentioned. But I think they had the opportunity to just relocate for maybe his master's or I think PhD abroad in the United States of America, to be specific. And all he's doing on a low key, like was able to get his FDA and everything, and he just does tiger nuts. And I think it has a name for it, and it's very interesting that he sells tiger nut, like raw tiger nuts, not even, it doesn't go through any additional processing, not tiger nut powder, not tiger nut milk, raw tiger nuts. All he does is clean it very well, make it stone free or anything free or dirt free, and put a very good packaging, brand it very well, put the labeling, get it right. He did his he didn't even do NAFDAC. Like he doesn't even need NAFDAC in Nigeria for that. He did only FDA, which is what is needed in the United States. And because he's there as a person, and when he comes home, he buys the tiger nuts, he package it very well, and take it when he's going for back to the states, and he's selling. So this is another export potential, which I think our youth can even think about. If you are not even ready or you have not grown to the stage of doing all of these things in volume, right? Okay, so I think that is just from my own little experience in that space of export. This is what I think it entails.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. So I'd like to have the second to the last question, right? So there is the role of technology actually, because when we talk about creating sustainable system at home, people that is this huge technology It's something that cannot be used. First of all, is I want you to give us some of the just simple, is it technology or innovative ways that food are being created at home? That's the first question. Sorry that this question is a bit loaded. The second question that I want to ask you is that, you know, while we are talking about producing food at home or coming up with these different innovative ideas, right? There will be some technology that absolutely superb, you know, they are unorthodox. I'm talking about. I think I saw one that he created recently. He sort of, is it recirculatory? Is using CO2 generator, something like that. You know, using this sort of LED for light provision. I'm not sure if that is included, but it's some other system that I'm aware of that is also available. So now, talking about the reason why I'm mentioning that other aspect is to know if there is this sort of potential from this sort of welcoming of novel idea as this, and if there is readily available support, to push this sort of idea, that is able to help us cost efficiently use be efficiently use resources, right? Produce food as well, right? So I'm trying to understand, how possible is this? What's the potential? What are the challenges? Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for that question. Yes, we integrate sophisticated technology, for advanced technology for our space. It might not be even advanced in the developed nations, but for a country like Nigeria, they are still advanced. We integrate 3D printing technology. We do growing indoors with LED grow lights. They are just efficient grow lights compared to our regular fluorescent and all of that. We also use what we call extractor fan. These are like it's because we just feel like, okay, agriculture is just has been backward in this part of the world, like backward in terms of the adoption of technology, right? Like our normal space that we live now, like very few people are still using what will I call it? What can I even use that is a basic gadget in the house that many people are not even using again, even to the extent of television, right? People are now using smart TV, right? They can afford these things. They replace the usual TV to smart TV. And there's even another one that is even more advanced than the smart TV, right? There's solar inverter, there's solar fan. These are things that we've started using technology in almost area of our household. And because now we are talking about home food production, so we feel if you can integrate all of these things into your normal household, and you're also trying to integrate your food production, how much more why won't you integrate technology to make your food production sustainable? I mean, to make it more advanced. Like, fine, the initial cost must be high, but I feel people that can afford to have a smart TV in their homes, I mean, to have get a laptop or iPhones for their kids or even for themselves. These are necessary. You know how much they sell iPhone, right? This is just a phone that you use to take cameras, do all sort of things. They are not cheap, but people can afford it. Youth are getting it, right? So how much more you're not growing food and you're not still following the conventional way, still have to water your plants in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, like you forgot watering your plants and everything is all gone. And when there is a technology that can make it simplified for you, there's a technology that can make you self-water your plants, that can only make you to attend to your plants maybe once in a week or when you want to harvest. Why won't you be able to adopt that? If you can adopt basic technology in your household, which food production is also part of your household, in fact, it's the main driving force for your household. So you can think about it as being expensive, but I do not see it as being expensive. I think about it as being affordable. That if people can afford to get iPhones in their house, to get smart TVs, to get AC, to get solar fan, these are gadgets that you get in your house and they cost a lot. So how much more not being able to get gadgets that will make their own farming more efficient or more productive? We all know the way they build houses in Lagos. Like the landlords, they are not trying, right? There's not even backyard space anymore to say the truth to us, right? If you go to spaces, you see that there's not even backyard. And you're telling people to grow food in their backyard to be self-sustainable. So there's a problem, there's a challenge. We need to be able to maximize whatever space you have. In your living room, you should be able, or your kitchen, or your store, you should be able to grow your food. What do plants need to grow, right? They need light. It's not necessarily sunlight. And if you want it to be sunlight at all costs, get a solar inverter, trap the sunlight energy, convert it to LED efficient, and use it indoors. That is what we are just doing. That all of these things is doable, and we are implementing it on our own space. Fine, it costs a lot of money for us. We got funding, right, to be able to develop prototypes and all of that. But that notwithstanding, the funding we got, we can justify it. We can say, okay, these systems, are they going to be affordable for our users? And we know the kind of users that we are targeting. We are targeting users in the urban space that we know can afford iPhone, can afford smart TV, afford smart refrigerator in their house. So they should be able to afford smart food growing system, right? So this is the rationale behind all of these technologies that we use. We just want something that works, something that give people results and help them to be able to grow their high density food on their limited urban space. Be it indoor or whatever space they just have, it must work. So we are now adopting technology that will make, we know that 9 to 5 they will go to work from Monday to Friday. You now still want to sell homegrown food system to them and be telling them to be watching it every day. Who has the time? They rather abandon it and just be buying their junks. So but if you can sell a technology that is the same cost as they will buy a refrigerator, or they will buy smart TV, or they will buy iPhone, that will give them results. They don't have to water their plants morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They only have time on weekends. So, or that can even help them to grow their food indoors in their kitchen. They will like it, they will adopt it, they will buy it, they will pay for it. Right? So this is what this is what the opportunity that we see, and we know that is doable and workable. And this is why we are adopting this high technology, right? It could funding can be a challenge for new startups, but you can always get grant bodies to sponsor and all of that, at least to get your prototype working, to test your market first and see whether it's something that is actually scalable for you, or you have a market for in where you are actually practicing your food production business, right? And we have been testing it. We are developing prototypes. All of these things that we just developed, I think they are almost like, okay, become 1 year old March, but new ones that we are just bringing up, the 3D printed versions, the LED grow light system, um all of these ones, I think they are just like a few months. We are still on our patenting anyway, so to show you that they are still very early, we are still in the early stage, so I cannot start giving advice on how profitable or sustainable it is now, because we are in the infancy stage. We are in the prototyping stage. We are testing these things and seeing how this thing can scale. But we believe, from what I have, the rationale I've given before, that these systems can work, because we are only trying to solve a problem for the urban space, right? And we are only also trying to adopt technology to make it easy for even the home gardeners, or the people that we want to say they should start growing their food, to make it easy for them, and to also make it, most importantly, for youth to say they want to adopt this kind of technology. They will be interested. My son will be telling me he's still in primary school, primary two. He'll be telling me that he likes farming. It's because of the way I'm farming. While I'm growing up, that's why I found that I studied agriculture and I was born into a farming family. I never said I wanted farming. I can never say I like farming. None of my family members that did not study agriculture wanted farming, because of the kind of farming that we are brought up with. But now I can see a 2-year-old telling me that he wants to become a farmer. It's because of the technology he's seeing. Because it's fascinating. He likes it. When I 3D print, say, this one you 3D print is for me. Oh. We are the one that we use it to grow. I said, this one is for my business. Let's finish with this prototyping first, then we'll do your own for you. Right? So this is what I'm trying to say, that if you adopt technology, it makes it lucrative and attractive to the young ones that can take over, and they can be interested in saying they want to take farming as a venture. Right? And it also makes life easy for the home gardeners that we are trying to advocate for, to grow their own food from their space. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That really helps, right? We're talking about the place of technology and how it enables kids and young people participation in the agricultural space. I like that. And also um, how the agri-tech concept is applicable and is adaptable, to home food growing, right? That there is a possibility for scalability, although you have to test and verify your idea, very well, so you can push it out there and attract the needed support. I like that. So I will just go into the last question, right? The last question is also split into two. Number one is that I like to hear from you what you would have for the government in order um, to promote home growing of foods, that can undo the challenges that we're having in that aspect, with participation and uh, people actually getting to produce food and that. And that's one aspect, advice to the government. That's one aspect. The other advice that I would like you to give is for the youth, young people that want to enter this space. What are some of the advice that you are going to give them to you know, um, help them shape their ideas, help them commit to the space even when they are not seeing results, right? And help them to establish that their idea in such a way that is scalable. you know just help me with advice for the government and advice for the youth. Thank you.
Okay, I will start from the government. Okay, from my own little experience, I can see that the governments are trying. They are trying their own parts, right? They are doing, especially this particular administration. I don't know. They are trying to favor as much as possible agricultural. There are a lot of grants bodies out there. There are support for agri in government level. Personally, my business benefited from the Lagos State Agri Innovation Fund. I think last year, yes. So I know that these things that governments are doing, this initiative that they are doing, they are available. The opportunities are actually to support innovation in agriculture. Lagos State, for instance, they are doing well. Like I can say very well, not because primarily I'm a primary a beneficiary, but also because I know they have a lot of programs. Despite the fact that we think that there's no even land in Lagos and all of that, and they still have a lot of this initiative flying around to support agri innovators, so to say. Okay. I also, but I know that they can still do better. They can still do more. I know our governments can still do more. Like I mentioned, our youth are the forefront of doing this. What I can say about the advice I can give is just to, whatever that creative ideas that you have, that innovative ideas that you have, don't get limited. Just start anyhow. So what I mean by starting anyhow is just doesn't give birth to that idea. Your idea is not real until you have tested it. You understand? Give birth to that idea, reiterate it with what you have in your environment, use human resources, whatever you think that you can just use to just birth that idea, right? And now don't just keep quiet. As in, use social media to amplify your voices, to amplify your voice. Use social media, show what you are doing, no matter how. This is what I do sincerely. Some innovation will just create it, we'll just test it and realize, okay, this thing works. I was just thinking about it and I just let's birth it, and we made it work, and we just post it. Sometimes posting is not just for fun, like maybe sharing on social media. It's not just for fun or just to brag that I'm also doing this. No, you never can know the eyes that is looking at you, and we have got a lot of collaborations and people interested in what we do through this avenue, just by sharing via social media, right? When I started, I just told you, it's from my bootstrap fund. It's 100,000 naira where that I saved, that I'm using for my PhD, JJ. That I just say, okay, let me just go and implement this idea, and I can build it into a sustainable business that will even help me to fund my PhD along the line. You get it? So you just want to start anyhow with whatever you. So then when you now start, as you are doing it, you are reiterating your ideas, you are documenting your process. Documentation is very important. I got to know that late. I got to be aware of what I am saying, telling you now after 5 years of my trial and error and struggling. But if I had known this earlier, I would have started earlier. Maybe perhaps I would have grown bigger than this. But why I'm now sharing this now, as you are starting documenting your process, sharing your ideas, I mean the ideas that you have already implemented, tested, share it on social media. You will get collaborators, you will get funders, you get people that you get customers. Your first customer, we call them maybe the first people that will try your product out. They are just loyal to you, they just like your personality. They will reach out and they like what you are doing, and they'll just be your first tester. They are your tester. They will give you feedback. This thing that I did, though, it still has this photo. It's not giving us results here. That's how you learn. You retrace it. You keep it better. You improve on it. For every product that we develop, that is the strategy that I use. We share. We'll get a first tester that will test it. They will give us feedback, and from there we will improve it. And when we see that it's making sense, then we scale it. Right? So this is what I can advise. So when you keep doing this, and you are documenting your process, that is when you can now get funders. You can get people that are interested in your innovation, that want to see the impact is giving, and they will give you the fund to amplify it. The innovation that we developed, it was March this year that it became 1 year that we developed the automated modular circular greenhouse. We developed it March last year was when we developed it from Innovator. It was supported by the Israel Embassy. But from that experience is what got us into the Lagos Agriton Agri Innovation Support, and we still got grants with the Lagos State Government. So, but if I had not been, this is just last year. Do you understand? And I've been in industry from since 2019. I've been in Lagos. I've been in the industry technically from 2016, 2017 after my master's. That's when I started all the trial and error from my father's compound and all of that. But making it a business that is making sense is 2019, right? And I just got the support after developing and innovating products after 1 year. That was last year, just last year, 2024. So look at that gap. So understand the fact that you have to start, because it takes patience, it takes time. Agriculture specifically is special. It needs a patient fund, but you have to start from your own end first, from your own bootstrap, from your efforts, from sharing your ideas. You can imagine what I've been using to sustain the business from 2019 that I started making profitable sense till 2024, right? If not for the customers that are testing our products and buying it and giving us improvements, we will not be in business, because we will not be making profits, right? So if you have not started at all, again, you cannot just blow once. I cannot. Maybe if I had not started at all, I would not be able to say, okay, this is the product that came up with, and I got support for the Israel Embassy, and they now help us to develop it and turn it to a prototype. If I had not had that, I would not even now get into the Agri Innovation Agri-Turn program that gave us 5 million naira support, right? So it's a process, and it requires patient funding. The government can do better. They can support us better. Surely technology requires a lot of money. So they know and they are aware of this. And I know we keep showing them with our own activities as well. So by whatever idea you have, try to test it, reiterate it, perfect it, share it on social media. You will get people that will be interested, collaborators, your first time testers, your customers that will pay for it, that will help you to improve upon it, right? And before you know it, you will get attraction by funding bodies, because you're also documenting your process. When they ask you questions, for the funders are asking you questions to fill the form, the applications. I've been making applications since 2017, yes. But I'll be getting rejection, and I later got the ones that pays, right? That was able that were ready to support. So you will not give up, but start documenting your process early enough, so that it's those documentation that will help you to make a very good application, and also share on social media to get what you're doing to the right highs that will be able to support you and take your business to the next level, right? So this is my advice. I hope it helps somebody.
Thank you so much for that. It's really, really, really value pack, I must say. And I believe that people that are listening to us, especially the youth, the young people, are able to take not only one or two things from this, they are able to take a lot, you know, and especially from this last part. of the event, right? So I really want to thank you so much, from coming on the platform, sharing your knowledge and talking out of your experience, and also sharing the secrets, from your personal experiences, to help those that would like to play in the sector have a sort of soft landing, and be able to make something for themselves, and contribute to creating employment, making themselves useful, creating food and helping to eradicate hunger, the employment creating incomes, impacting household, and helping to eradicate poverty. And we have inclusion of women, the marginalized, the vulnerable people, right? So and we have this sort of bridge equality. So I thank you so much for today. And uh, this discussion is being recorded, so it's going to be edited and be made available, and it will go straight to the Last Giddy Farmer podcast on Spotify. For anyone that is listening to us, right, you can always have a re-listen on the Last Giddy Farmer podcast on Spotify, and it's also on Amazon Studios and some other podcast platforms. So I thank you so much, Kafilat. I'm going to now proceed to end the space. I thank the audience and everyone. Looking forward to more impact, more beautiful, creative, innovative, empowering and impacting ideas, creation from you. Just keep going. I'm waiting for you. Thank you so much. Do have a lovely night rest, and extend my greetings to your baby. He's been part of the show actually, right?
Hey,
Making
hey,
sure
thank you very much. I know you'll be hearing that.
all right,
Thank you
all
so
right.
much. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. All right.